Joining now, Kaylee McGhee White, Washington Examiner, Deputy Editor of Restoring America. Kaylee, good of you to be here. It's the lack of focus on the issues, inflation and crime, by the Democrats, is it not? They were really putting all of their feed in the barn on abortion and then the Trump raid, and they kind of have continued to overlook the things that matter most to the American people.
Absolutely. And it's not just that they're ignoring these issues of crime and inflation. It's that in some cases, they're actually flat out denying that these are important issues. Nancy Pelosi just today denied that she believes that crime and inflation are two of the biggest motivating factors for voters this November. And every single poll out there proves her wrong. So why would she say that? It's because they don't want to talk about these things. That they know they're on the losing side of these issues. And the more that they talk about it, the more they are going to get hurt.
One of the issues, Doug Schoen and Andrew Stein have an opinion piece, a commentary piece in the Wall Street Journal today, and the headline is, "Brace yourself for a Republican wave." As voters shift their attention to the economy and crime, polls begin to hint at a major GOP advantage. And they go through a list of, very much in the way our power rankings do, but they point out a couple of things, that the primary voters, the majority of primary voters this year were in Republican races rather than Democrat, and that has tended to predict midterm election outcomes and give Republicans the edge. And also just overall approval for Joe Biden, it was 42% last month. That was the same for Clinton in '94, who experienced losses, and also Obama had a 45% approval rating in 2010. Clinton, of course, in '94, and that led to losses in the House.
Well, here's the single biggest indicator that I think that this is going to be a big red wave, and that is the recent New York Times poll that was released just this week found that 45% of voters strongly disapprove of President Joe Biden. Now, if half the country basically disapproves of the president and his party, that is not a political environment where any Democrat is going to have an easy time surviving. I mean, it's just disastrous for Democrats. And we've been predicting this for months now. And of course, Democrats had a bit of a summer burst of enthusiasm. But now the tide is definitely shifting against them.
That New York Times Siena College poll also showed that female independents favor the Republican Party by a whopping 18 points. And again, it goes back to security. It's financial security and actual real-world safety.
Yeah, and that's a massive swing. That's about a 34-point swing over the past couple of months. And keep in mind that Biden carried women by about 13 points in 2020. And now women, Democratic, Republican, and Independent, all said in that New York Times poll that they're evenly split, 47% to 47%, between Democrats and Republicans. So he's losing major ground among women right now, which is really telling.
I wanted to ask you a question about this Abigail Spanberger debate that she's not going to have against her opponent, Yesli Vega. This is one of the, and the Washington Post points this out, this debate, two debates that they were trying to have fell apart because of, partially related to a upset over who the moderator was going to be. But the Washington Post wrote this. This means that in one of the nation's most expensive races at over $20 million and one of Virginia's most competitive, voters will not see the candidates debate on stage before the November election.
Well, it's a disservice to Virginia voters who are going to be deciding in that district who they want their representative to be. But it does seem that Spanberger has realized that it's actually an advantage for her at this point to just stay out of the limelight. The less that she can be made public, the less that she has to answer for, the less that she has to answer for her party's problems economically and all these other things. So she's taking a backseat. She's just going to try to ride out the next 3 weeks and hope that no one notices.
Well, people will notice, and it seems like that the White House, tomorrow you're going to get this announcement on energy, and it will likely be just additional release of oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve. Does that move voters at all who are concerned about inflation? 89%, according to that was of voters find that inflation is their top issue. 89% in the recent Fox News poll. Does that move them at all to just release some more oil from a reserve that's already at a almost 4-decade low?
No, because everything that the Biden administration does at this point in regards to gas prices is going to be seen as a sort of last-minute attempt to right the wrong that he's done in this situation. Plus, this move is not even going to affect gas prices that much, especially not in the next 3 weeks. So it's not as if voters are going to really see the tangible benefits of this move at all.
Kaylee, good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Kaylee McGhee White. We will see you again very soon.
Thanks.